going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and I'm flying solo today. No Jake with me today, trying something a little bit different today. And no, it's not going to be about any of the current goings-on out there in the world, because those are really sad, and they're going to make me yell and scream and probably get me kicked off YouTube. So I'm going to do something fun instead. Hope you guys don't mind, and I'm going to start with a question that has been going around social media. It's been going around Facebook, Twitter. Other people have talked about it on podcasts and videos and whatnot. Do you think that this year, 2025, the first ever two-night SummerSlam, is going to be better than WrestleMania 41? Now, the caveat for that is most people's bitching and moaning about WrestleMania 41 was because of the ending, was because of the last match, was because of the Travis Scott, 6-minute entrance and all the Cody Rhodes and John Cena stuff. And I don't think that's particularly fair to the pay-per-view as a whole. It's kind of like the Royal Rumble. Like, you can have a fun hour-long Royal Rumble, and then all of a sudden, because the person you like didn't win, then the whole Rumble was terrible. There's a lot of that going on, but I do think, on the other side of the coin, SummerSlam's two nights this year. They're clearly trying to make it their second WrestleMania, which is a point. And the other point of it is, as well, the conversation going around WrestleMania time is like, oh, Triple H had all these plans, and there was a big battle between him and The Rock because The Rock swooped in at the last minute to make WrestleMania his. Which brings it to an interesting point, because if we're going to get two WrestleManias a year, one called WrestleMania, one called SummerSlam, then we have the right as fans to get that anticipatory twice as much in the year. But if there's this battle, and I don't know if it's true, and nobody knows that it's true, but everybody wants to believe that it's true, either because they're really big Triple H fans, or because they're really big Rock fans, or because they're AEW fans that want there to be fighting in WWE, which is odd, which is weird. Don't do that. But just say, for the sake of it, that there is. Say that there's competition, competition. Oh, we have to have AEW. We have to have all these other companies because WWE would be horrible without competition. If there's competition within WWE between Triple H and The Rock, and this is just totally hypothetical on my part, not implying anything, and each one of them, Triple H is going to take SummerSlam and make it his WrestleMania, and The Rock's going to maybe keep a chokehold on WrestleMania itself. If they're so bitterly competing with each other that they're going to keep trying to outdo each other, then we're going to get two pretty fucking fantastic WrestleManias a year, one of them called SummerSlam. So if there's any year to sort of compare and say, oh, was this better than WrestleMania? Because people do it all the time. People will say on the odd B pay-per-view, oh my god, that might have been the best pay-per-view of the year. Will we say it's better than WrestleMania? Who knows? If there's a year for WWE, for Triple H, all the creative team from Triple H all the way down, all the wrestlers involved, to say, you know what, we kicked our own asses at WrestleMania, and we're going to do it over here too, to make another WrestleMania, this would be the year to do it. Now, we don't know, because WrestleMania has happened and SummerSlam hasn't. There's been injuries along the way, there's been changes along the way, there's all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff that we don't know about, even though some people like to pretend that they do. So it was really awkward for me to find a way, what's the most fair way to compare the two shows? To compare a show that we've seen, which is finite, which is This Is What It Is, and a show that hasn't happened yet, which hinges and leans more on, as I said, anticipatory, ponderings and guesstimations and all that kind of thing. And it's do I want to go, compare this main event to that main event, or compare this title to that title, or compare this opening match to that opening match? What's the most fair way to do it? And I don't know if this is truly the way to have a fair comparison, but this is the way that I've kind of landed on. I'm using the SummerSlam 2025 card from Wikipedia as sort of a jumping off point, and what I'm going to do, instead of looking at it from the divisions as a whole, I'm going to talk about some of the divisions as well. I shouldn't say it like that. But I'm going to more so look at it from the wrestlers. Where were the wrestlers back then? Where are they now? Are they in better places now? Are they in better places before? Am I more interested in the story now? Am I more interested in the story back then? Is the story problematic now, or is the story problematic back then? And so basically, I'm going to look at what we've got in front of us in the next 2 weeks and compare it backwards to WrestleMania. I hope that makes sense. Like I say, I'm using the upcoming card as sort of a jumping off point. I'm going to ramble. I do have notes, but it's going to be very rambly, and I'm not going to lie. By the end of this pod, I'm going to ask one more time. I'm going to ask you guys one more time. Do you think SummerSlam will be better than WrestleMania? And I'm probably not going to have an answer. Stay tuned and see if I have an answer. So, if we take a look at the card, they've kind of broken it up over the nights. I'm not really getting super twisted up about what's on what night and all that kind of thing. And by the way, this is not a preview either. Jake and I will get together at some point this week. We will do a proper preview for SummerSlam. It won't have much WrestleMania connection or tie-in unless we're talking about matches that tie directly back to WrestleMania, like the Becky and Lyra one would be a great example of that, and we'll get to that when we get to it. But this is just a thought process. This is just to get the conversation going. If you guys want to throw your own thoughts down in the box below as to where, if you're leaning more backwards than forwards, please feel free to do so in the comment section down below, or hit me up on X at Spaz Phoenix. But here we go. We'll take a look at the card. First match I see is Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill. Now, if you look back to WrestleMania, Jade Cargill was facing Naomi and Tiffany Stratton was facing Charlotte. You guys know how I feel about Naomi. It's weird. It's gone through a lot of stuff, and they're taking some big swings with her character. I don't particularly like it. I think Jade's a star. Back at WrestleMania, it was Jade's job basically to get me interested in a Naomi match, and she did it for the most part. She's a fucking star. She just is. Is she a 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome brother wrestler? No, she's not. She doesn't have to be. She's not at the point in her career where she should be expected to be. Look where she came from. What do you think she was given prep-wise when they basically booked her like Ryback, and then you put her in WWE and you can build up properly, etc. Now, on the other side of the coin, Tiffany Stratton went into WrestleMania as an underdog, going up against Charlotte Flair. It was the match that we had all fantasy booked at one time or another, like, you know, the athletic, hot, blonde bombshell versus the old athletic, blonde bombshell, etc. Whatever you think about Charlotte, I don't want to hear it. Keep it to yourself. What can I say here? Definite babyface, definite heel in the Jade Naomi thing. And with Tiffany and Charlotte, it wasn't... I mean, it was babyface and heel, but Tiffany's kind of a heel-ish babyface character, and Charlotte, like, up until recently, nobody was ever going to cheer her as a babyface ever. So it was more of a new generation, old generation, I've got something to prove to Charlotte who came before me, Charlotte who had just come back, having something to prove after being gone for so long. What's the country line? I'm as good once as I ever was. So definite dynamic there, definite dynamic here. Where I will say I'm interested in Tiffany Jade at SummerSlam, bell to bell. I think they're going to knock it out of the park. Tiffany's still relatively new. Jade is still relatively new, as up until very recently she was a tag team wrestler. So her as a singles person still feels really new. Tiffany Stratton, who's been awesome and who's been a champion, still feels new because she's not in that upper echelon of like the Beckys, the Charlottes, the Rhea Ripleys at this point, etc. I'm interested to see what this match looks like. The bullshit meter is going off for me on this one because they're both baby faces, and as baby faces, they've both got other feuds. Like, there's lingering stuff with Tiffany and Nia Jax and Candice LeRae, and Jade has this, you know, never-ending hate triangle with Bianca Belair and Naomi. So where I struggle with the SummerSlam match right now is there's no real... Other than the fact that there's a belt between them, I don't feel like there's claws out between the two opponents. I feel like there's claws out outside the ring because they both have other people to worry about. Whereas the two matches, like I say, at WrestleMania had definite dynamics you could go with. Even though I'm not a Naomi person, like, she gave me somebody to not like and gave me an extra incentive to cheer for Jade. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte, we knew was going to be an awesome match. We knew the representation, like I say, old generation, young generation, and Charlotte was healing it up, and Tiffany, even though she was kind of still doing like Mean Girls mannerisms and stuff like that, she was clearly leaning into the fact that the crowd loved her. So there was a little bit more meat on the bone on those two matches that these two had at WrestleMania than there is with this one at SummerSlam. I'm looking forward to this match. I don't think it's going to hit the heights of either of those matches from WrestleMania. Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross is a really easy one. Neither one of them were on WrestleMania. I think Sami Zayn asked for time off. He came back on the Raw afterwards to celebrate with Jey Uso becoming the world champion and all that kind of stuff after he had beaten Gunther for the Intercontinental title the WrestleMania before. That was really cool. That was a really big moment. Sami Zayn not being part of the card was a noticeable missed personality, presence, whatever you want to call it. It's like right now when we talk about Kevin Owens not being around. He's a big, massive entity that like ripple effects and affects a lot of things. Karrion Kross was also not on the card, and Karrion Kross was just coming into that. Like, people noticed him in the background. People saw what he was doing on social media. There is a groundswell for Karrion Kross, and you know, people are saying, oh, well, it's not really a groundswell because WWE is encouraging it. Yeah, it's almost like the promotion is promoting him. Karrion Kross is another one. I like watching Karrion Kross do what he does in the ring. He's not a 5-star bell-to-bell guy either, but he doesn't have to be. I'm going to lean on that quite a bit. Sometimes you are just a spectacle. Sometimes you are just the guy people decided to get behind. The number one example of that is there's maybe 2 or 3 people in WWE that you can beat down and get hated regardless. You could beat down Rey Mysterio. You could beat down, I don't know, like if you wanted to do intergender stuff, you could like, I don't know, beat the shit out of Bianca Belair. Not that I'm advocating for that. But one of them is Sami Zayn. Anybody that beats the shit out of Sami Zayn is going to get booed because it's Sami Zayn. We all love Sami Zayn. Karrion Kross came out and beat him down in the aisleway, and the crowd chanted "one more time," which is kind of terrible, but it's kind of like, this is the terrible guy that we like. He's playing the terrible guy that knows that people are okay with him being terrible. It's that sarcastic, you know, with the passing of Hogan, it's the NWO type of idea. Like, they are the bad guys. They are doing terrible things, and they will get cheered for doing the terrible things because the people, even though they're good people, want to see terrible things on occasion. There's nothing to compare. SummerSlam's going to win because neither one of these guys had a match on WrestleMania, but Sami Zayn is doing a lot of heavy lifting to get Karrion Kross over in the elements that he's lacking. Scarlett shouldn't go under the radar either as a huge part of his act, from his entrance all the way down. Like, they're so into what they are, and what they are, like I say, once again, it's not a Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle classic, but like, how can I say this? There's a Simon Miller thing, like when he talks about Nia Jax, is like, Nia Jax is the best wrestler out there at being Nia Jax. I'm probably butchering that quote, but I'm going to use it here as well. Karrion Kross is the best Karrion Kross that has ever Karrion Krossed. And Sami Zayn, being the flexible, durable, adaptable wrestler that he is going to find whatever that character needs and do it. He did it with the Bloodline. Sami Zayn was a huge part of the Bloodline, and you think he's not going to do that for somebody like Karrion Kross? It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Here's a weird one, right? Because I got to look at both sides of the equation. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso are taking on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Now, we don't know what this match was supposed to be. We didn't know that Seth Rollins was going to get hurt. Obviously, our continued well wishes out to, I mean, a lot of people, but particularly Seth Rollins, along with guys like Adam Cole, Chris Bay, Zoe Stark, Liv Morgan, Kevin Owens, Big E, all the people out there that are dealing with stuff right now. But the one that ties into this most directly is Seth Rollins, and that's the most innocuous injury ever. Oh, we did a backflip and I landed on my leg and there goes my fucking leg. And the people that want it to be a work, trust me, Jake and I talked about it the other day. I wish it was a work too. But there's no way to make it, at this point, for it to be a work and make it make sense. So, good healing wishes for Seth Rollins and whatever. The match we have is Braun and Braun versus Roman and Jey, which is a really, really interesting match. We've all seen the dirt sheet stuff. I assume if you listen to me that you're somebody that also reads the dirt sheets. The big 3, I guess they say big 4 pushes now, the big main eventers for WWE going forward, like in the next 5 years or so. Jacob Fatu, Braun Breaker, Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vacuor. Yes, 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 and yes. But Roman last year was in that weird match with Rollins and CM Punk, the main event of night 1. The big story there was, CM Punk got to be the main eventer for the first time in his career, even though it was night 1, and that's a whole conversation to have all over the place. Jey Uso reached the pinnacle, beat Gunther, became the world champion. It's kind of hard to beat. Bronson Reed wasn't even on the show, so there's no point of comparison there. And Braun Breaker lost the Intercontinental Championship. Now, if you see how he's being positioned right now, and I think it happened like the night after WrestleMania on Raw, Braun Breaker losing the Intercontinental Championship was the best thing that happened to him, because it cast off the, how can I say it? It cast off the shackles of the mid-card. It freed him up to be involved in this main event storyline, be involved in this main event faction with a Seth Rollins. So he getting away from WrestleMania can only go up. Right now, he's mixing it up with main eventers. He's going into SummerSlam, which they want to be the second WrestleMania, against former world champion Jey Uso and former everything main event guy, big dog, tribal chief, head of the table, Roman Reigns. That's a step up for Braun Breaker. It is. Bronson Reed, who wasn't even at WrestleMania, it's a big step up for him as well. I'm pretty sure he's eating the pin, although I said this is not a preview pod. Look at it the other way around, though. Jey reaching the pinnacle at WrestleMania was one of the huge memorable moments of this year. Now, discount all the immediate bullshit, bad faith criticism that came after that. Jey Uso becoming the guy, Jey Uso becoming main event Jey Uso, and serving the ultimate purpose of the formation of the bloodline was awesome. Roman Reigns coming back as, Big Dick Swingin' Jones, who can just come back and be in a WrestleMania main event. Yes, night one. Yes, that's a caveat. I don't think night one is actually the main event. We'll get there when we get there. But Roman Reigns and Jey are going to do everything for Braun Breaker. I'm so interested in this match. Jey becoming champ, we kind of knew was going to happen. Roman being in the main event felt like more of the same. Now, so these are huge things that I'm downplaying, but I'm trying to give you my point of view from where I see them at. Braun Breaker going into a multi-person match with people like Penta and Finn Balor and the eventual winner Dominic Mysterio. I mean, everything's up for grabs in a title match that's multiple people. So nothing is really that surprising, other than something we're going to talk about later. But Jey being the champion, we felt it coming. Roman being in the main event, it kind of just feels like, yeah, if Roman Reigns is there, this is where he sits. Roman and Jey sort of, I don't want to say being demoted, because they're not. Them not being in the main event is really interesting. It makes, the only thing I can compare it to was when John Cena picked up the US title and started doing the John Cena Open Challenge, introducing us to people like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, etc., if you were watching NXT. So seeing them come back down to the mid-card is a lot more interesting. Seeing them come down to the bronze, and seeing the bronze, swing upwards, punching upwards, your arms are too short to box with God, is way more interesting. I'm not saying it's a bigger match, but it is way more interesting than Jey becoming the champ that I knew he was going to be, than Roman Reigns taking up one more main event, than Breaker potentially losing his title because we saw bigger things for him anyway. Call me crazy. I think SummerSlam wins in this regard. Judgment Day, I should say the ladies of Judgment Day, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, or as I've been calling them, Rax and Rox, because I'm clever. God, any of you guys that have seen me being a pain in the ass over on the Wrestling for Life Guys channel have heard me say that a million times. So, they are taking on Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Now, let's run this one down. Alexa Bliss wasn't part of WrestleMania last year, as far as I recall. Charlotte was in that match with Tiffany Stratton, making Tiffany Stratton look like $1 million, proving that she could still go after being gone for so long, but she still lost. Judgment Day and their tag team title defense I keep saying last year, WrestleMania this year was a little bit different. You had Liv Morgan there in the Roxanne Perez place, but also they were there at WrestleMania defending the tag titles that were barely spoken about that much, and immediately the story wasn't the tag titles anymore, because the story was, oh my god, somebody had attacked Bayley. The story was, oh my god, the surprise return of Becky Lynch. Oh my god, they're taking on Intercontinental Champion, freshly crowned, I should say, Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria, and it's a thrown together match. There was other stories. Everybody in that match was talking about everything but the titles, which is never ideal. But also, they lost to a thrown together team. Now, the caveat is, it didn't really make much sense for Lyra to be teaming with Bayley to begin with, because there wasn't really anything to tie them together other than they both wanted that same singles title. And with the history that Lyra had with Becky from NXT, it would have made more sense to just announce Becky as her partner ahead of time and skip the Bayley story. They didn't do any of that. It got really convoluted. It was a thrown-together team for a night, and go to Raw the next night, and it was immediately made oblivious. Anyway, so it was, from a storytelling kayfabe, like, continuity point of view, it was an absolute mess, and nobody was talking about the actual tag titles. So now, what you have instead, a lot of really cool stories coming together. People that really like Alexa Bliss, including me. Alexa Bliss, much like Charlotte Flair, gets a lot of pelters that she shouldn't, for obvious reasons that I'm not going to mention here. I'm just happy to see her. I'm happy that they didn't go the cliche route and just shove her in with the rest of the Wyatt Six, who we're going to talk about later. But her doing this thing with Flair, her and Flair actually working as a tag team and not seeming as odd couple as most people thought that they were. And this act finally sort of getting people to not be dicks to Charlotte Flair. When we got to Evolution in the four-way tag, and Charlotte Flair got the, by God's honest, holy shit, hot tag from Alexa Bliss, it's doing something for people, and myself included, because there's a lot of people, like, look back at all the conversations I've had about, like, somebody like a CM Punk is the prime example. Like, even if you don't like them, give them their flowers, because they're fucking awesome. You don't have to like them, you don't have to be their friends. If you watch the Olympics and somebody wins a race, and the guy that wins the race is the guy that picked on you in high school, and it's like, okay, yeah, that guy's a dick, but he won the race. Like, can we not have a bit of that mentality? This tag team is getting over. It's climbing the mountain of overness. That's not a thing, is it? Judgment Day on the other side is on this constant, they're about to fall apart angle. Finn Balor is in there poking the bear. Dominic Mysterio is still loyal to Liv, which is a separate story. And yes, it's a bit soap opera-y. I don't care. You got this tag team that was supposed to, from all intents and purposes, we were hearing they were supposed to break up after the tag loss at Evolution, have a match at SummerSlam themselves, which wouldn't have been bad. I like that they're not. I like that they've listened to the crowd and they're going with this tag team. And it's going to be you can't put these four in the match and have it not be good. Raquel is a great base for everybody. Roxanne Perez should have been out of NXT a long time ago, and I'm an NXT guy. Flair and Bliss have come together and found this sort of like awkward buddy cop tag team dynamic between the two of them. This is going to be a great match. I don't want to say that it's going to be better than Tiffany Charlotte from WrestleMania, but it's miles better than anything they did with that tag team title match at WrestleMania, because that was like I say, once again, not to be repetitive, that was a storytelling mess, and Alexa Bliss wasn't even on the card, and as somebody who's a fan of Alexa Bliss, that's a strike against you. I'm sorry, SummerSlam takes this one. Okay, let's go controversy. First of all, it's a match with Logan Paul in it, so we're automatically supposed to hate it. Whatever, fuck off. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll taking on Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre. Now, is this supposed to be taken seriously? Is this supposed to be taken as, Hogan slamming Andre in the Silver Dome or whatever the fuck? No, it's not. It's a celebrity match. It's a fun match. And the wrestlers that they choose to get the celebrities where they need to be for a celebrity match is a vote of confidence from WWE in a much bigger way. Now, take Logan and Jelly Roll out of it for a second. Logan fought AJ Styles at WrestleMania, which was what it was. But Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre fought Damian Priest at WrestleMania, which rumoredly, from both of them, was a match that neither one of them wanted, and I remember being absolutely fine. Randy Orton, on the other hand, found himself in his own different kind of controversy because he was supposed to be taking on Kevin Owens. That didn't happen because of Kevin Owens' unfortunate physical situation, which led to the surprise appearance of Joe Hendry, which was awesome and a lot of fun until all the experts on X, yep, that's a thing, are going to come along and tell you that WWE buried TNA by having their biggest star / champion represented in the semi-main of night 2 of the biggest WrestleMania ever, or one of the biggest WrestleManias ever, against a guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer like Randy Orton. Now, it was a lot of fun. On the other hand, it was something they just kind of had to throw together because of the Kevin Owens situation, and off the back of the Kevin Owens situation. So, awesome for a night, but it was a flash moment. It wasn't anything long term that did anything for Randy Orton particularly. And Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest having a great match, even though they didn't want to have it, is something to be said. Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre is a feud we need to see, because I eventually want to see Drew McIntyre versus Cody in some sort of really hard-hitting brawl, but that's way, way, way down the line. Jelly Roll looks like he's taking shit seriously. Apparently he's moved himself to Florida to be closer to the PC, and he's been doing some stuff. Hit the Black Hole Slam on Friday. That was a lot of fun. And Logan Paul. Let me tell you about Logan Paul for a second. Everybody that's out there, oh my god, we need to make room for the celebrities like Logan Paul so Julia didn't get on the card. First of all, Alexa, show me two things that aren't related. Second of all, whether you like it or not, whether you still want to shove him over into the, oh, that's just the YouTuber that tries to wrestle sometimes, say that to Simon Miller. I dare you. But also, what it makes him is the Miz of this decade, because he was just the reality TV guy. He wasn't really a wrestler, and the Miz has had a career that I think a lot of people wouldn't mind having. Let's put it out there. I hate to tell you, and for the people that are soft, for the people that are easily triggly puff, cover your ears. Logan Paul is on the roster. He's not the celebrity in this match. And everybody seems to like Jelly Roll, and he is the celebrity in this match. I don't know what to do with this one, because huge pops for Orton and Joe Hendry. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest had a great match, because of course they did. And this is meant to be fun. I feel like it's going to fill its role of being fun more than these two matches separately at WrestleMania filled their quota of being, oh my god, this is a match I'm going to remember. So, controversially, going to go with SummerSlam on this one. Gunther versus Punk. Gunther versus Punk. Look back to WrestleMania. Gunther lost the title to Jey Uso. The ascension of actual main event Jey Uso, world champion Jey Uso. And then you can't put a dent in Gunther. He came back the next night and he was still Gunther and he's still killing people. Now, that being said, CM Punk was in that weird triple threat where the whole story was CM Punk was finally going to get his main event match at WrestleMania. He had told Paul Heyman when they fell out in his first run, when you get to main event WrestleMania one day, I'm going to be in your corner. They brought that all the way back around. Paul Heyman cheated and sorry, not cheated on him, that sounds weird. Paul Heyman turned on him and Roman and sided with Rollins, and that whole thing went down. It's kind of fugazi anyway, because, I'm sorry, night one isn't the main event. It's not. Fight me in the comments or hit me up on X at Spaz Phoenix. Punk needs to be champion. He does. I've got a really selfish reason too, because I really want us to come out of SummerSlam where the champions are CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. I have said for the longest time, because I am a bitter and small and spiteful person, I want to see WrestleMania headlined by CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes, and have that be the match that somebody else could have promoted if they could have pulled their head out of their asses long enough. A consolation prize for that would be, for me anyways, seeing Cody and CM Punk both walk out as world champions from SummerSlam. We can still go from there. We can still have somebody win and somebody lose later on down the line. Somebody wins the Royal Rumble. It's going to be in Saudi, which is Sammy. So, okay, I guess maybe somebody has to win the Elimination Chamber, and we still get to that at WrestleMania. But in the meantime, as a halfway point at the other WrestleMania, Cody and CM Punk both walking out as world champions is great. I am way more invested in this. We knew the Jey thing was happening. I was really happy for Jey Uso, because the ending of the Bloodline, the fall of the Bloodline, and this is no dig at Cody Rhodes, the one that took down Roman Reigns should have been Jey Uso. It should have. Fight me in the comments. Find me on X at Spaz Phoenix. It is what it is. Jey beating Gunther was a really, really happy, feel-good moment. CM Punk coming back after 10 years, flipping the bird to AEW, coming back, getting injured almost immediately, costing himself a WrestleMania, coming back again, having his main event with Rollins and Roman, and then coming back to be a world champion in the A company again is more than just, okay, I'm kind of invested. I'm a Punk guy. It is what it is. I want Punk to be champion. Gunther's awesome, but I want Punk to be champion. So there's more in this match for me than there was in his match with Rollins and Reigns. Because if Punk had beaten Rollins or Reigns, or if Reigns had beat Punk or Rollins, what was that match for? It was, we won in the main event, and that's it. Which was kind of the problem that match had going in. I wanted to see it. It's like, okay, here's arguably the three biggest names that you got in the company other than Cody Rhodes. Let's throw them all in the same match. But what do they get out of it? That's a huge problem with that triple threat. And Gunther J was more feel good than awesome. And yeah, Gunther versus Punk, I will be seated, as the young people are saying these days. You know what else would have me seated if there wasn't too many people in it? Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and unfortunately Naomi. Triple threat for the women's world title. And here's where I can't compare it to WrestleMania, or I can't compare WrestleMania to SummerSlam, because, get ready to shoot me, get ready to flag this podcast wherever you're listening to, get ready to report me on YouTube, whatever. This match has the same problem WrestleMania does. Allow me. There is a story that dates back to pre-NXT between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Not only do they have fucking amazing matches, the running gag, the running story has always been, here's Rhea Ripley, mommy, you know, the devastator, the dominator, the brutalizer, and all the other words you can possibly think of. And her kryptonite seems to be Io Sky. You know, they fought in NXT. They fought in the Mae Young Classic, I think. They've fought on Raw. It was interrupted by Bianca Belair. They were getting really, really close to each other in the world title mix, and then Bianca Belair won the Elimination Chamber and, you know, infused herself into the situation. And now Naomi has won the Money in the Bank and infused herself into the situation. The reason I say the same problem is happening twice is what I said at the beginning with the Jade Cargill situation. These three, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi, have been locked in this sort of three-way hate triangle thing. They have a story. They have a story on their own show. They are three SmackDown talents that have a rivalry on SmackDown, and now twice at WrestleMania and now here. Unnecessarily, one of the characters from that ongoing story has been plucked up, dropped onto a different show, and interrupted our ability to have Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky, the definitive battle. And I'm going to guess when we get that one day, Rhea Ripley's finally going to get her win back. And am I cool with that because she's the one that I'm more behind? Yes. But also, it's because she's the one that's lost and lost and lost and lost and lost. You got to get a win eventually. Eventually, you have to find an immunity to the kryptonite. I really hate that I'm making so many friggin' Superman references when the really shitty Superman just came out. But, like, there's not 4 of them, so I can't do Fantastic Four. Hey! It's the exact same problem. Somebody from that story on that other show has been dropped into here to keep us from having the one-on-one match that we should have. The one-on-one match that we should have had at Evolution. The one-on-one match that when they announced it at Evolution, I said, what the fuck, guys? We didn't get this at WrestleMania. Why can't we do it at SummerSlam? So we did it at Evolution. Beggars can't be choosers. We're going to have that. No, we have to fuck it up. Because the match they were having before that was 5 stars. I don't care what your scale is. I don't care what your scale is. The match that Rhea Ripley and Io Sky were having before Naomi cashed in was probably top 5 for 2025 so far. Miss me with all your needles and plastic bags and cinder blocks that aren't really cinder blocks bullshit. So it's the exact same problem. So what do I say? How do I differentiate between the two? As much as Bianca Belair is not my favorite person, and to me, she's not bad, she's just way overexposed. They have babyface John Cena, babyface Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair. So it's really easy to get sick of Bianca Belair. Naomi is actively cringy at this point. If you followed her career for as long as she's been in WWE, they're not shy about reminding you who her husband is. They're not shy of reminding you X, Y, and Z social issues out there in the world. They're not shy of, oh, we need to give her a tag team partner. Let's tag team her with everybody that's having their popular moment right now. They tag teamed her with Bianca. They tag teamed her with Paige in the past. They tag teamed her with Carmella when Carmella was starting to get over. They tag teamed her with Becky Lynch. They tag teamed her, I can't stand her, but tag teamed her with Sasha Banks at one time. When when Sasha left, didn't she team with Bayley for a little bit? So it's like, okay, you know, I don't know. We're going to make it happen. Stop trying to make Naomi happening. It's not happening, right? So they've made the exact mistake twice with a worse example. So I have to go with WrestleMania on this one. Like, I predict it's going to be a match that tries to be awesome with constant interruption. And that's going to be a downgrade when you consider, put my opinion of Bianca Belair aside for a second, the fact that I find her booking and her character stuff to be quite annoying. I'm with everybody that says Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Bianca Belair was the best match at WrestleMania, or at least a top 2. Maybe there might be one other one that I'm not thinking of, but it stood out. It was the holy fuck, this is a match of WrestleMania. This one's got Naomi in it. Like, this one doesn't win. WrestleMania wins this one. On the other side of the coin, pulling stuff out of bad WrestleMania into good SummerSlam, Becky versus Lyra one more time for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. First of all, what the hell is this doing for the Intercontinental Championship? Intercontinental Championship looks fucking great. Can we please do something with the US title? It's fine. If you go back to WrestleMania, Becky and Lyra were a tag team, surprise tag team, thrown together tag team on the night that won the tag team titles, and that lasted a day before Becky Lynch's heel turn. Now, the big thing, as I've mentioned already, is going to be, okay, what you did was you took an actual tag team in Judgment Day and made them look bad by losing to a thrown-together tag team. With all the drama about, you know, Bayley being taken out and Becky being the surprise return and da-da-da-da-da, all the storytelling around the tag team titles was a mess. That's your headline. The sub-headline that I don't think a lot of other people took too much time to focus on is the fact that she was in a tag team title match meant that newly minted Women's Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria was not defending that title at WrestleMania. This solves that. This gives the Intercontinental Championship its own platform. We already know what the tag team champions are doing over on the other side. And I do want to say once again that the three relevant 4 horsewomen, Becky, Bayley, and Charlotte, are all using their abilities and their stature and whatever to boost up mid-card titles. Both Becky and Bayley have been heavily involved in the Women's Intercontinental title picture, and it's Charlotte, along with Alexa Bliss, going for the tag titles that people say never get any attention. So the ones that used to be... Remember when, for a while there, where the women's division was actually really stifled, and it was like, here's the 4 horsewomen, and here's everybody else. Well, everybody else caught up, and it's awesome. And you get people like Stephanie Vacour, and you get people like Rhea Ripley, and you get people like Tiffany Stratton, Alexa Bliss, who was kind of always sort of like on the outskirts of that. You know, they're not Damage Control anymore, but like Io, Kairi, Asuka, yes, is their usage these days kind of helter-skelter? Yes. But the 4 horsewomen were the go-to, the embossed in gold, like, this is the standard of the women's division, and here's everybody else. And all of them are working to boost up mid-card titles right now, which I think is fucking awesome. Really, really, really awesome. It's not even a question for me here. Becky Lyra for the IC title one more time. They're doing the whole gimmick of, if I win, you don't get to challenge for the title again as long as I have it thing, which they've already kind of done, but doubling down on that isn't the worst thing in the world. This is 100 times better than the 2 of them trying to be a tag team for one night at WrestleMania. So SummerSlam takes this one. Jacob and Solo is an interesting one in the sense of, as soon as they announced Jacob versus LA Knight at WrestleMania, you knew Jacob was walking out with the United States Championship. As I say, Breaker, Jacob Fatu, Stephanie Vacour, Rhea Ripley. Those are your 4 main stars for the next 5 years. I hate to tell you. Solo wasn't even on the card. Solo was in Jacob's corner at the time, taking credit for his what do you want to call it? His successes, his attributes, his collection of accolades. I don't know what you want to say. This is going to be in a steel cage as well. So the whole idea of a steel cage means it's going to keep everybody else out, which means it's not going to keep anybody else out at all, which means the MFT, like Tongan family new war that's going on now is definitely going to happen. It's got more story behind it than Jacob and LA Knight did, and Solo is in a match rather than standing out on the apron. So all the way around, the story that they've told with this one, 10 times better than WrestleMania. SummerSlam wins. Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship is a weird one. AJ went away for a while, and then he came back, and then he sort of dipped down to TNA and put over Leon Slater, which was awesome, and he's been stalking Dominic Mysterio in this sort of like Leslie Nielsen, like not buddy cop, like sleuthing around. I'm gonna see how your medical forms are doing type of thing. It's really, really light. It's really, really light stuff from AJ Styles. He's doing a babyface version of picking on somebody, but then when Dominic revealed that he wasn't hurt at all, he came back and decked him. So it is what it is. Looking back towards WrestleMania, AJ Styles lost to Logan Paul. I'm not going to lie, I had to look that up. I didn't even remember that match happened. What I did remember was Dominic Mysterio going into a match with Finn Balor, Penta, and Braun Breaker and coming out as the IC champion. Not only getting a babyface pop, but getting a babyface pop so monumental that the cameraman on the ramp told him to go back to the ring and soak it up. I don't know where that came from. It's like the big pop that Charlotte got at Evolution that we talked about moments ago. That was a moment in time type of thing. Really, really happy for Dom. This match is going to be a lot of fun. I don't think it's going to be some super hard-hitting classic either, but I think AJ Styles has found a little bit of a banter gear, and Dominic Mysterio being the character that he is, I think they're just going to be dickheads to each other, and I think that's a lot of fun. There's always the chance, and people have speculated already, does AJ Styles do a TNA thing and have like Leon Slater in his corner for the night, like, hey, you came to Slammiversary. By the way, record-breaking Slammiversary, so TNA's not doing too shabby with the WWE deal. But if you want to say, like, hey, you came down to Slammiversary to show me some respect, I know you're going up against the Judgment Day, why don't you let me be in your corner for a night? If I see Leon Slater at SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium in the corner of AJ Styles, I'll pop like a madman. Pop, pop, pop. Print Coca-Cola on my forehead because I will be a pop machine. Oh, yes. I don't know, because Dom's moment at WrestleMania was pretty friggin' huge, but AJ Styles was barely memorable. So I'm going to sort of put this on the let's see how it goes type of thing. It might be a break even between SummerSlam and WrestleMania. Obviously, it's a bigger moment for AJ Styles. He's going for a title. It's a cool moment for Dom to go up against somebody like AJ Styles. And we had a cut. Thought we were going to get through this cut without having to make a cut. Thought we were going to get through this pod without having to make a cut. But there we go. This is why I need a co-host. Little hint, little secret behind the scenes stuff. Jake does most of the recording when we do a podcast together. So when I'm flying solo, I really am flying solo. But yeah, where was I? Dominic Mysterio, AJ Styles. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a story thing. I think there's a sliver of a chance you might get another AJ Styles Finn Balor interaction, which might lead to another AJ Styles Finn Balor match, which wouldn't hurt my feeling in the slightest, because, you know, they've got the Bullet Club history. The one really, really cool pay-per-view match they had by accident because, you know, who was it? Bray Wyatt got sick. But I don't know. I'm waffling back and forth, and I can't remember where I was before the recording cut off. But AJ Styles was doing nothing with Logan Paul. Dominic Mysterio had probably the coolest WrestleMania moment of his life. It's going to fall right down in the middle. I'm going to say it one more time. You know what else is going to fall right down in the middle, or it's going to fall into it really depends how messy they make the match territory, is the exact same match happening twice. Cena Rhodes at WrestleMania, Cena Rhodes street fight at SummerSlam. Street fight just tells me they want an excuse to throw in all the bells and whistles, all the disqualifications and countouts and interferences and whatever the hell else. Apparently WWE and what the heck's his name? Travis Scott have fallen out, so that's not a thing anymore. But how many people don't like Cody Rhodes and how many people don't like John Cena? The WrestleMania match was bad. There's the potential that this could be worse. So instead of calling it a tie, I'm going to say nobody wins. And it's going to be the main event of night 2. So it's going to be the main event of night 2 at WrestleMania and at SummerSlam. So if I'm predicting that one sucked and one's going to suck, that's not very promising, is it? It's not very promising at all. I became a Cody guy. You guys know that. And I was one of those guys. And I hate to make the reference yet again because of what's happened this week. When they say Cena took over the Hogan role, it really was true. Whether you liked him or not, you couldn't deny what he was, how big he was, etc. A lot of that mentality has kept me going through his heel turn. And I think that benefit of the doubt is running out, and that's from me. I like to give everything the benefit of the doubt as long as, it's done properly and whatever, or at least it has some shock value to it. I was there when he turned heel. I was there when he turned heel in the Dome, and that was a segment that took, 2 or 3 minutes? That was more exciting than the match at WrestleMania and the match that I'm presuming we're going to get at SummerSlam. They could pull something out of the bag that I'm not thinking of, which gives me a little bit of hope, and a little bit of hope might give me a sliver of a lean towards SummerSlam being better than WrestleMania, but I'm not particularly optimistic about this at all. I'm really not. And I'm going to end it on this. You figured Cody and Cena being the main event of night 2 would be the last one I talk about, but I got to talk about the match that we just added last night on SmackDown because, the Wyatts were defending their titles against the new team of Rey and Andrade, which I really enjoy them as a team. I get why people are bummed because they thought, the Lucha Brothers are in WWE, so the Lucha Brothers are going to be the Lucha Brothers in WWE. But they're on different shows and whatnot, and Rey and Andrade have teamed up, and they're really cool. And the promo that they did beforehand was really cool and all that kind of thing. So I like them as a team, and we've seen them as a team maybe 2 or 3 times. And they'd probably sit together in the back and be like, yeah, AEW was really shit, wasn't it? Anyways, they had a really good match. It was interrupted by Nikki Cross at the end, pulling out, I believe, the referee, and then Eric Redbeard just went in and clobbered everybody, and then the tag teams came out, 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 and then DIY dragged out Nick Aldis to make the announcement that the match that we thought we were getting at SummerSlam is actually happening. And I thought it was going to be a gauntlet. I'm not going to lie. They've done a lot of ladder matches recently, and I don't mind ladder matches, but I get the people that are getting a bit sick of them being, ladder matches are a bit of a crutch. They're a fun crutch, but they're a crutch. And I thought they were going to say, maybe it's going to be a gauntlet. A gauntlet with all these teams would have been amazing as well, but it would have been a heck of an endurance thing, depending on how your endurance is. But he announced not only is it a ladder match, we're going to get a TLC match between Rey and Andrade, Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, Street Profits, and the Wyatt Six. Now, caveat, because they haven't said this yet, there's 4 dudes in the Wyatt Six. They could, as a faction, enter 2 teams into this, and that could be a surprise we're getting later on down the line. But they haven't announced that as of yet, so I'm going to treat it like it's the 6 teams that we have here. It's going to be a ladder match. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, there's nothing with the Raw tag titles, the World tag titles, as of yet. So this is the only tag team match we have. But even so, I have to say that this smokes WrestleMania, because we didn't have any WWE. I think they did a match on the SmackDown after WrestleMania, was when they did the 3-way ladder match, TLC match, whatever, which was really, really good, but it wasn't part of WrestleMania, so it's not part of this conversation. There was no WWE tag title match at WrestleMania, and the world title match was just the match between the New Day and the War Raiders, which was fine, but it was just a match. Let's be real for a second. And it was the New Day heel turn that faltered as soon as it started. And I don't mean that to be a mean thing. I like what's his name? Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods kind of just mulling around Raw being dicks. but they're not delivering on the promise that was given when they first did the turn on Big E, and everybody was like struck through. And the War Raiders are the War Raiders. Give them another big team to like clash swords with, no pun intended. And that would have been great, but it was just like, okay, the New Day have just had this massive heel turn on the heels of the John Cena heel turn. They're coming to WrestleMania to pick up those titles, and that's how that goes. So it becomes a very predictable thing, kind of like what I said a couple of seconds ago about the Jacob Fatu picking up the U.S. title. So it was a regular match with a predictable ending, and the other titles weren't defended at all, versus, I'm sorry, whether you like the Wyatt Six or not, they're over. Street Profits are over as hell. DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, Fraxium, any combination of those guys is going to be fantastic. And the new team on the block being Andrade and Rey is a lot of fun. And they're doing a lot in very short order to make Andrade and Rey seem like not a thrown together team, which is important, right? Like, you have to do that. Coming out of this, and again, I'm not doing predictions right now. Coming out of this, whether one of them has the tag titles or not, I need a best of 7 series between Andrade and Rey and Fraxium, because I think that would be a lot of fun. It would do a lot for both teams. Andrade and Rey are a new team. Fraxium are still relatively fresh off of NXT. Just go out there and do 7 matches. Hopefully not even for the belts. Do a best of 7, and then the winner of the best of 7 gets a tag team title shot at, I don't know, War Games. War Games is in a ballpark this year. We could do that. But yeah, as far as tag team representation, the ladies tag team match looks like it's going to be killer. This blows anything they did at WrestleMania out of the water. I'm pretty sure with all these, and I'm coming to the end of my ramble, so thanks for staying if you stayed this long. I'm pretty sure most of the things that I said here were SummerSlam leaning, but overall, this is mostly my opinion, and that's going to be heavily shaded and whatever, and there are some things that were definitely more WrestleMania shaded. So I said it at the beginning, and I'm going to say it again now. Which one do I think is better? Do I think WrestleMania was better? Do I think SummerSlam will be better? Big surprise. I still don't know. I still don't have an answer. I'd love to hear your guys. If you guys have a concrete answer right now, if you are stamping it right now that SummerSlam is going to be better, if you're stamping it right now that WrestleMania blew whatever we're going to get in a couple weeks out of the water, if you've got a definitive opinion about this, I want to hear it down in the box below. And once again, I will say find me on X at Spaz Phoenix. But thanks for listening to the ramble. This was a lot of fun. Like I said, with all the negative news we've gotten this week, I wanted to do something a little bit more fun, a little bit distracting, to be perfectly honest with you. But however you're feeling about whatever all the other negative, sad shit that's happened this week, take care of yourselves. I hope you're doing okay. Tell your friends and your family and your loved ones and the people in your life that you love them, that you care for them. Don't take your days for granted. Go out and get an extra scoop of ice cream. Go take a walk. Go touch the grass. Make sure you're drinking your water, taking your meds, saying your prayers, and eating your vitamins. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all of these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.